Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla. Spin-off shows that involve well-known characters as babies are usually doomed. So the natural solution is to have them be babies from the start. And that's where Rugrats comes into play. A series concerning a gradually expanding group of toddler-aged kids in a world where adults don't know how to be parents, lots of imagination, and misinterpreting of certain words. Seriously, hearing Bob as my witness is just the kind of mistake a baby would make. This is actually the kind of show you expect the inverse, a spin-off where the characters are older. Which is not what I'm going to be covering today, because at least that has some story potential. Rather, we're going back to an older generation of gaming, taking literal baby steps along the way. Now, a game about the Rugrats isn't necessarily a bad idea. The show gave plenty of material to work with. You got multiple playable characters to choose from. What could go wrong? Well, not so much that something goes wrong, but rather, is it fair to talk about an old PlayStation game after years of improvements in the game industry as far as gameplay and graphics are concerned? Probably not. We opened with our four main characters, Tommy, Chucky, Phil, and Lil. Well, maybe it's best if I show you instead.
Oh, here it is. But where's all the pieces? Inside. What's wrong?
Either a lot of the puzzle pieces are missing, or it's the easiest puzzle ever.
The pieces must be all over the house.
Hey, let's not rule out Tommy's dad's suggestion. You'd be surprised how condescending some children's toys can be. But basically that's our premise. Find the pieces to the Reptar puzzle, and in order to do that, Tommy and his friends must play through a variety of scenarios that you may recognize from the show. Like the episode where Tommy and Chucky stayed in a toy store after hours, something an episode of SpongeBob badly copied. The episode Tommy's dad created a bunch of evil clown toys no child should ever play with ever. And the episode where they played hide and seek while Chucky had to play without his glasses. And as an aside, what kid has such poor eyesight that they need to start wearing glasses at the age of 2? You really expect that they'll be able to take good care of them? I barely can. It's basically a loose connection with all the Reptar pieces. Technically, you don't have to do all the levels. There's more than enough that you might end up collecting all the puzzle pieces with still some levels to do. This is because there are a series of Reptar bars scattered throughout the levels and the hub world that accumulate into puzzle pieces after you collect enough. I'm not sure how many it is exactly since it kept changing on me for some reason. Something also interesting is the fact that pretty much every character is voiced by their original actor from the show, which is impressive for even modern games, much less ones when this game was made. Of course, there's still the matter of the, pink elephant in the room. Now, this game's graphics probably remind you a lot of the graphics from Ocarina of Time, but there is one fairly large difference. Ocarina of Time had a large variety of different colors and locations to work with. Because the hub world and more than a few of the actual levels are in Tommy's house, that means the level design is rather uninspired. The same pink walls will start to make you nauseous after a while. Not helped is the camera. The most you can really do is just target behind your character, and even then it's not guaranteed it'll look where you want it to. And then there's the music. It's show accurate, but it never stops. After a short amount of time, you're gonna get sick of it. And while the controls for the babies are a little stiff, it's the levels where you play as Spike the dog where things really become unbearable. I can't see where I'm going, Spike gets stuck on walls too easily, and despite having much longer legs than the babies, the jumping for Spike is even worse for him. But of course, how could I forget about a problem all characters have? Hitting a wall will result in a ridiculous grunt every single time. Seriously. I feel like I should go put on a polo shirt and start comparing this game to excrement. And given that there's a sewer level in this game, that wouldn't be an unfair comparison. Oh well, at least we can see what happens at the end once all the Reptar puzzle pieces are assembled.
Hey, you found all your puzzle pieces. Good job, kids.
But now it's time to go night-night. You've all had a very busy day today.
Sleep tight.
Reptar.
Yeah, talk about mood whiplash. And as fun as it is to smash cities as giant monsters in various Godzilla fighter games, I can't say it's as fun here. Reptar is unfortunately forced down a linear path, with the buildings being only surface level and how badly damaged they can be. But here's a funny moment. One of the things Reptar can destroy is a theater sign advertising the Rugrats movie. That's about on par with the Transformers episode that had an ad for its up-and-coming movie, also as a movie theater sign. Reptar's path of destruction eventually reaches Town Hall, where the mood whiplash strikes again. How embarrassing. You'd never see Godzilla do something like... You know, at least wait until I finish my sentence before showing that. Interrupting people is very, very rude. That was Rugrats' Search for Reptar, and it fills its purpose. The controls haven't aged well, nor have the graphics, which I guess is inevitable when you go back and play a game from the early 2000s. The good thing is it's very faithful to the show, with slight deviations. The levels are varied with different things to do, but I am a little disappointed that the various characters all play the exact same way. Think about it. Tommy could easily have been the jack of all trades, Chucky could have had the lowest health but would have been the fastest baby, Phil could have been the slowest but strongest, Lil could be the only baby with a ranged weapon, and Angelica could be the only one with a melee weapon. Perhaps her doll Cynthia? Just give me something that makes playing these different characters feel like I'm playing different characters. Asking for things in a game like this is too much, you think? I mean, it's obviously aimed at a younger audience. Well, to that I say... fair point. 'Cause let's face it, this game isn't exactly hard. At most, certain levels are only slightly challenging. Nor is it a very long game. I personally beat it in one sitting. Of course, just because it's for kids doesn't mean that it couldn't have had some, if simple, elements that I suggested. Nothing too extraordinary. Now, for what it's worth, the sequel, Studio Tour, was an improvement with more things to do and was a little bit more challenging. So, while it may be misleading that our heroes are looking for puzzle pieces rather than Reptar himself, you may get a kick out of the nostalgia factor for this game. I hesitate to call it a good game, but I wouldn't say it's horrible. Why do I suddenly have this foreboding feeling? You all remember the last time I had one of those, don't you? Turning organic life into machines. This concept is giving me a foreboding feeling. Oh, son of a bitch! I am definitely in for something later.